恭敬大德圣听，为其发挥肆意，皆众生。经转妙法论，教导我们如何了生，何时离苦得乐，殊人无生。Will the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering and attain bliss, and end birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Namo sadanto suchetoye alahati sanmiao sanputo che. 无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in a billion eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. Namo, quelling disasters, lending life, medicine master, Buddha. 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 Medicine master does come one. 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 Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and Realm Master, and all good knowing advisors, welcome back to our exploration of the Dharma. This is class 105. Okay, let me get today's slides. As usual, while I'm getting the slides up, does anyone have any questions? Anyone? No? Okay. Oh, where is... Okay, all right. So, let me see. Today we are still on the heavens of the first dhyana, the Brahma heavens. If you look at your screen, it's number 12 to 27. So it's heaven number 12, which is the first of the heavens, and it's called, if you look on your left, it says the 16 heavens of beings with bodies of light. Uh, that's what it mean. I mean, there's a literal description because the beings there, they have light. So today, what we're going to do is we're just going to quickly review what we did last week, and then we're going to go briefly into the heavens of the first dhyana, and then I have a story for you about Baka, the Brahma, who is a Mahabrahma. Um, and I think after this, because initially I had plans to introduce the various heavens one by one, but unless uh, there people feel otherwise, my idea is to not do that anymore. My idea is just to, after the heavens of the first dhyana, because I already have the notes, to briefly just skim through, not skip, but skim, very briefly skim through the other remaining heavens, because it might be interesting to some of you, but I rather concentrate on the aspects that have to do with our practice. That means, how is this beneficial to me aspect? And in these heavens, the heavens of the dhyanas, or the 16 form heavens, it is the four Brahma Viharas. Actually, it's called the Brahma Viharas, and there's four aspects to the Brahma Viharas. And that's what I would like to spend more time on, because it has a direct impact on our practice, rather than going into all the details of the heavens. All right. So unless someone feels that they are really interested in knowing, let me know. If not, then I already shared with you my plans. Okay. So last week, this is what we did. Last week we looked at how you get to the first dhyana, or basically what it feels like when you meditate until you get excuse me, to the first dhyana, which is you have you leave behind the desire for sensual pleasure. That means the things that the satisfaction that we get through our senses. That means, like, through our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. We watch a movie, a comedy, makes us feel good. We feel really satisfied. We listen to music and it makes us very happy. Those kind of things. Okay, and then you leave behind evil, or malice. That means when in your heart you wish that harm comes to other people, either because you don't like them or they stand in the way of you and what you want for yourself. There's evil and malice, and then sloth and torpor, which is sleepiness, laziness, and sleepiness, more or less, and then anxiety and restlessness, and finally skeptical doubt. So these are also clues as to what holds you back from the first dhyana. If you have an abundance in this, and you have been reciting the Buddha's name for many years, or you've been trying to meditate, and you're wondering why you're not getting um, I wouldn't say getting any results, but you think that you're not going anywhere. Okay, you think you're not going anywhere, or you're wondering why you haven't achieved the first dhyana. So this gives you a clue. And then we also look at the 5 defining factors which arise when you're in the first dhyana, and this also gives us an idea of what beings in the Brahma realm are like. So you are able to have your concentration, you have an initial application of mind, you have, following that, you are able to sustain that application of mind, your concentration, and then out of that arises a certain sense of happiness, zest, or rapture. If you have remembered from last week, there's a physical sensation that accompanies this rapture. Sometimes people call it hair standing on end. There's actually a word for hair standing on end, and it's not in Hokkien. We say "mo kin chang," literally hair stand on mo kin, hair stand chang, like I don't know how to. Okay, but hair standing on end is called, in English, it's called horripilation. That's a specific word for when your hair stands. Yeah, when you get the chills. So that's a physical sensation. That's when your body, the energy of your body starts to circulate well, to the point that Shufu says when you're in the first dhyana, your physical breathing stops. Um, you can't detect if someone. Yeah. Okay. So when you're in the first dhyana, you're in such a concentrated state that you're not thinking about whether your breathing has stopped or not. If you do, then you're definitely not in the first dhyana. But someone else who sees you sitting there for the whole day, if they come and inspect you, they will find that if you are in the first dhyana, then you're not actually breathing. Yeah. Okay. Then from there comes a sense of bliss, or sukha, and ease, or joy, that's out of this world. It and from then on, you get because your body doesn't fight against you anymore. Neither does your mind. uh, your mind can enter very strong concentration, or called one pointedness of mind. Not really means that you are just on one topic, but um, your concentrated mind means that whatever you're focusing on, whether if you're a Brahma god, you're focusing on, say, the thousand world systems that you can see below you, figuratively speaking, below you, or you're concentrating on one single thing, nothing can shake your concentration. So it doesn't mean you're just concentrating on one thing. It just means that your concentration is really strong. Okay. So now we'll look at the heavens of the first dhyana. All right. And this is from the Shurangama Sutra. So I'm just going to read it. This is the Buddha speaking to Ananda. It says, Ananda, some people in this world, in refining their minds, do not avail themselves of the practice of meditation in stillness, and so they do not develop wisdom. These are most people like us. It says, nevertheless, if they can refrain from sexual activity, and if their minds are free at all times of any thought of sexual desire, such that they are undefiled by sexual passion, they will not remain in the realm of desire. Okay, so sexual passion, you overcome it, you overcome the realm of desire as well. And the Buddha says, these people, if they wish, may be reborn as one of the companions of Brahma in the heaven of Brahma's retinue. So this is the first. There are three heavens in total in the heaven of the first dhyana. So this is the first heaven, heaven of Brahma's retinue. And then what's next? A step above, the Buddha says, these people have cast out their habits of desire. So this is one step more evolved, more one step further in less desire. And with their minds free of desire, they delight in following the precepts and the rules of deportment. At all times, they are able to practice the virtue of purity, and so they become gods in the heaven of the ministers of Brahma. So this is heaven number 2 out of 3. How do you know if you want to get there, or you're able to get there? Do you have joy? Do you have delight in following precepts and the rules of deportment? That means you, how you say, Shufu says there are, how does it go? Standing, sitting, walking, or lying down. Okay, standing, sitting, lying down, walking. Okay, times the, let me see, there's a formula. I can't remember it right now. I thought I did. You end up with the 108,000 awesome modes of deportment. So the four, I have to look it up. Let me see. Okay, if anyone knows, please help me out in the chat box. Okay, you end up with 108,000 awesome modes of deportment. That means at all times, whether even when you're lying down, you're always exhibiting awesome deportment. You're not letting go of yourself. And you have a mind free of desire. So this is where you can go to heaven of the ministers of Brahma. And then the next heaven, when in body and mind, these people have attained a wondrous perfection such that their flawless deportment inspires awe. They will not only follow the prohibitory precepts in complete purity, but will gain a clarity of understanding as well. So these are people that even in their thoughts, in their minds, they do not transcend the precepts. Is it transcend? They do not go against the precepts. Transgress. Sorry, they do not transgress the precepts. Yeah. So even in thoughts, they hold the precepts so well, and in thoughts they do not transgress the precepts, and because of that, the Buddha says they gain a clarity of understanding as well, and so they end up in the heaven of the great Brahma. This is where Mahabrahma is. And what happens when you are there? The Buddha says, and at all times they are able to govern their retinues of gods. You have a huge following. People follow you wherever you go. Yeah. So that's a benefit of being born in the final heaven of the first dhyana, the heaven of the great Brahma. Everywhere you go, you have a support group to cheer you on. Okay. Um, the Buddha continues saying, Ananda, the gods at these three levels of the heavens of the first dhyana are free of the burdens of suffering and affliction. So if you go back to what it's like to be in the first dhyana, that's what it means when they are free of the burdens of suffering and affliction. Although their samadhi is not the genuine samadhi that results from correct practice, their minds are nevertheless pure and their outflows are not active. These are the gods of the heavens of the first dhyana. So what does this mean when the Buddha says their samadhi is not the genuine samadhi? It means that this, in general, these gods, they do not have the meditative skill to enter the first dhyana. That's what it means. Because you can get to these heavens through two ways. One way is through genuine meditation skill, which means that whenever you sit, you can enter the first dhyana, and you can do it with enough skill that when the time comes for your life to end and your skandhas break down, throughout that you are able to maintain uh, your concentration within the first dhyana, your equipoise in the first dhyana. Then you get reborn in the heavens of the first dhyana. The second way is how the Buddha just explained. They don't really have this meditation skill, but because of their purity and their lack of desire, their minds, the state of their minds are equivalent to the state of the first dhyana. So two ways. Okay. All right. So this is Shufu's commentary. Shufu said they haven't become skilled in the practice of dhyana. There you go. Okay. Of stilling their thoughts. And so they don't have any genuine wisdom. What they can do is control their own bodies and refrain from engaging in lust. No matter how beautiful an object or form that they may see, they do not give rise to defiling thoughts of love. Such people are reborn in the heaven of Brahma's retinue. So in most how you say, the only few people that I know of who kind of their life story kind of suggests this. One is Elder Master Shiyin, who at a very young age he started making images of Buddhas from mud, and when he was forced to get married and to have two wives because his immediate family and his uncle, both of them, his uncle didn't have any sons, so he was forced to marry two wives and have offspring, one for his own lineage and one for his uncle's side. But he did not consummate the marriage. He and the wives, the two wives, agreed that their marriage would be physically would be pure, and they would support each other in practice instead. So that's Elder Master Sin, and then there's Ajahn Mun from the Thai forest tradition, for example. If you read his biography, his life story, it suggests that kind as well. And Shufu is another person who seems to have, I mean, not that I know, but just from reading the life story, it seems to suggest something like that. Yeah. Okay, Ron has a question. Says, when Rama Master was here, did you me, do you witness anyone reaching the first dhyana or become arhats? Okay, so there's this story. All right, since you're on the first dhyana, there's this story when Shufu was around. The they were having a meditation session. I think it was at Tathagata Monastery or Rulaisu at the city of 10,000 Buddhas. Tathagata Monastery is where the monks live. That building is called Rulaisu. It used to be the building. So back when CDTV was a state hospital, the building housed the criminally insane or just the insane. Yeah. So the rooms there are more like how you say like jail cells. Yeah. So it's quite appropriate that monks it in the end it became a dormitory for monks. So anyway, they were having a meditation session, and at CDTB when it's time to walk, you are not, I think at least when Shufu was around, when it's time to walk, everyone walks. You are not allowed to continue to sit. At least to my understanding, I might be wrong because I wasn't there. But anyway, um, everyone was walking except one lay person, and Shufu said, just let him sit or something. Or they put a blade of grass under his nose or something to see if he was breathing. Something like that. So that's the only story I know about the first dhyana. Become Arhat, I have no idea. I have not heard of any story. Yeah. So, wait, but Shufu did have disciples in China, and there was one disciple who shares the same name as me, Go Shun. Go Shun is my refuge name that Shufu gave me, taken after my birth name as well, Go Shun. And so Shufu had a disciple named Go Shun in China who emulated himself. He burned his body as an offering. I don't remember the details. And to be able to do that, you need some serious kung fu. So I'm not sure whether that was a sage or something, but yeah, Shufu narrate gave us that story. Okay, that's the closest I kind of know. Yeah. Okay. Um, Going on. Shufu says of now the second level heaven of the heaven of first dhyana. Shufu says people by nature like food and sex. These habits are innate in them. But at this point, these beings have gotten rid of their habits of sexual desire. Since they don't have desire, their mind, apart from desire, appears. So it's like something is unveiled. They like and cultivate the precepts and the rules of awesome deportment. At all times and in all situations, they cultivate pure practices. Their conduct is virtuous and pure. Brahma means purity. These people are born in the heaven of the ministers of Brahma, the second heaven of the first dhyana. As ministers, they aid the great Brahma heaven king. Okay, one of the reasons why I want to emphasize more on the Brahma Viharas is because those are practices that lead us to, to this purity, the Brahma Viharas. Okay, so hopefully we have time today to go to them, but probably not because the Brahma story that I have is pretty interesting and that might take a bit of time. Okay, let me go on. Shufu says, nowadays the heaven of the great Brahma, Shufu says they are not lacking in any of the 3,000 awesome deportments or the 80,000 minor aspects of conduct. Okay, there you go. Okay, I was trying to guess just now, but Shufu lays it out here. 3,000 awesome deportments of all the 80,000 minor aspects of conduct. I don't know how I got 108,000. But now mine, we have the correct one here. They are perfect in them all. They uphold and are pure in all the precepts spoken by the Buddha. Not only do they hold them purely, they have a comprehensive understanding of them as well. So they don't just blindly hold the precepts. You know how usually when they start taking the 5 precepts or they're vegetarians for the first time and then they go home and they create stress or they antagonize their family members who are not holding the 5 precepts, and they instead of, how you say, creating harmony through the precepts, which is the purpose of the precepts. That's why you hold the precepts, but they create more friction, and they give Buddhism a bad name. Yeah. So these people are not like that at all. So let me see. They have enlightened to the appearance, substance, and dharma of the precepts. When these people's lives end, they are born in the heavens and they're able to rule the multitude in the heaven of the great Brahma. So continue, it says, although they don't understand the Buddha Dharma and are not cultivating the proper concentration power, their minds are pure to the point that they are not moved by outflows. Outflows means anything that our senses, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and our thoughts, when we engage with the world around us, that's considered outflows. Shifu says they hold the precepts purely and don't have outflows of the endless desires of the material world, food, clothing, etc. The contrast are people like us. Okay, so we all have different. Uh, everyone is different. Everyone has major outflows based on the things that they like. So for some people, it might be property. For some people, it might be wealth. Some people, it might be music. Some people it might be clothes, shoes, whatever it is. Um, so whenever you see something or you smell something and that thing has the ability to create thoughts in you, either you like or you don't like, those are called outflows. Okay, so outflows can be very subtle to very major. Shiva says in cultivating the way, your pulse stops if you reach the first dhyana. Oh, is it pulse here? Let me see, breathing, pulse. I know Shiva sometimes says it's breath, the physical breath, breathing stops, and then the second dhyana, your pulse actually stops, which is a level deeper. But I don't know. So we'll take Shufu's commentary here for now. So Shufu says cultivating the way, your pulse stops if you reach the first dhyana. If you want to know whether you have any skill, check your pulse. That's a sign of this level, which is the first step in cultivation. It is not a lofty state. So Shufu says it's no big deal. The first dhyana, yeah, it's just one of the stages of concentration that you get to. That's all. There's another 7 dhyanas waiting. Yeah. So Ms. Wong says first dhyana is pulse, second is breathing. So I might have gotten it upside down. Okay. So now let's go to Baka the Mahabrahma. All right. So it starts with this is interesting because we have the past lives of how he became Baka the Mahabrahma. So it was said in a time when there was no Buddha in the world. Okay, there was no Dharma being taught in the world. Baka had gone forth as a rishi. What's a rishi? A rishi is I think it's a Sanskrit term. Rishis are people who how you say in Taoism, they exist in Taoism, they exist in Indian culture, they exist in any culture where there is someone who likes to meditate. They run away from civilization. They go to the forest, they go to the mountains, they go to caves, they live far away from people, and they love to meditate. And usually they're called rishis also because they have spiritual abilities. They can fly around, they can read people's minds, they can do things like that. So Baka was a rishi and he developed meditation on a kasina. What's a kasina? A kasina, if you look at the Visuddhimagga is kind of like a manual of practice, a compendium of practices for monks. It describes the kasina meditations in great detail. There are different number of kasinas, but they are all described as you take a dish, say like a plate, okay, like a tray, a round tray. Take a round tray, and what you do is you meditate either on colors or the elements. So if it's the element of fire, then you put the kasina over a fire and you look at the kasina. If it's color, for example, like say the ground, you fill the kasina with pure earth, and pure in the sense that when it's filled, there are no specks of different colors. It's all just one uniform color. There's also a kasina on air, or empty space, which is basically just a frame, and you look at space through the frame. And it's just another method of meditation for you to focus your mind on. So anyway, Baka he was using this method. Anyone who's interested in finding out what I just said was accurate or not, because it's not very accurate, look up the Visuddhimagga. Yeah. So continue on. Says in this way he developed the fourth dhyana. Okay, so the kasina is not to be scoffed at. It's a real deal. So he got to the fourth dhyana and had not fallen away from that attainment at the time of his death. That's key, because at the time of his death he could maintain the fourth dhyana, and because of that he was reborn in the Vipala heaven. Vipala heaven. What's a Vipala heaven? Okay, let me show you. Where's my mouse? Okay, let me bring this to Su Wong. Are you sure about that? About first dhyana.
Sir, yes, Amitabha.
You're sure? Okay, all right. Thank you. Because I'm not apparently. Okay. Okay. You look at your screen, right? The Vipala. Where's the Vipala heaven? Lifespan of 500 great kalpas. Okay, where is it? Here. 500 great kalpas is here. Hope you can see. It's in the heaven of the fourth dhyana. It's number 1, 2, 3, 4. It's called the no thought heaven. Some people translate it as the no thought heaven, or the unconscious beings, and the lifespan there is 500 great kalpas. That's where he is. Kind of midway up the heavens of the fourth dhyanas. Okay. So he had a lifespan there of 500 great kalpas. During that lifetime, he developed the lesser attainment of the third dhyana, and upon passing away from that realm was reborn in the Subhakina heaven, and there had a lifespan of 64 great kalpas. He fell down. Not only he fell down, but not to the heaven below, but to the next category of heaven, which is the heaven of the three dhyanas, the third dhyana, sorry. So from the heaven of the fourth dhyana, he fell to the heaven of the third dhyana. Why? Because from being able to maintain the fourth dhyana state, he could only maintain the third stage of dhyana. Yeah. How long is one kalpa? Okay, it is said that one kalpa, I think it's one small kalpa. You have imagine the Buddha says Mount Sumeru. Okay, Mount Sumeru is very tall. Okay, Mount Sumeru is taller than Everest, but it's difficult for us to imagine how tall Everest is. How tall Sumeru is. So let's just imagine Mount Everest. Okay, Buddha says you imagine Everest. Okay, Buddha didn't say that. I'm using Mount Everest as an example. Imagine Mount Everest as made from iron. The whole mountain is made from iron. And every 100 years, okay, someone comes out and they lightly brush anywhere on the mountain, okay, they lightly brush the mountain with a piece of cloth that is made from the softest silk that you can find. Okay, that means the most smooth, soft, delicate piece of fabric that you can ever imagine. Every 100 years, someone comes up from don't know where, a hole in the ground. They use this piece of cloth and they gently rub the mountain. They don't even rub the mountain. They just brush this delicate cloth on the mountain. The Buddha says that in the time it takes to wear that mountain down, to nothing. One kalpa is even longer than that. So Buddha is basically saying one kalpa is beyond our little minds. We cannot imagine. Okay, we are unable to imagine how the length of a kalpa, just like probably an ant is unable to imagine anything, outside his world. We cannot imagine what's longer than one kalpa. Yeah. Um, okay, but I had something else I want to say about. Let me see, kalpa. Okay, now it might come back. If not, then it's probably not important. Okay, Buddha says. Okay, so Baka, in that lifetime, he developed the second dhyana. So he's in the heavens of the third dhyana. But now he can only develop the second dhyana, and as a result of that, he's reborn in Abhasara heaven, where he had a lifespan of 8 great kalpas. And there he started to practice the first dhyana instead. So, as a result of practicing the first dhyana, when he died after 8 great kalpas, he was reborn as the first dhyana Brahma with a lifespan of 1 great kalpa. So usually, if you are in the Brahma heaven, okay, if you look at your screen again, if you look at the heavens of the first dhyana, and you look at the first one at the bottom, the heaven of Brahma's retinue, your lifespan there is 1 middle kalpa. Okay, what is one middle kalpa? 1 middle kalpa. Okay, hold on. Let me. Okay, basically, one small kalpa. Okay, one kalpa is made up of 1,000. Um, let me see. Can I get it right? One kalpa. One. Okay, one kalpa is 16 million years. And one small kalpa is 1,000 kalpas. Okay, so you have 16 million years times 1,000, you get one small kalpa. 20 small kalpas give you one middle kalpa. So 20 small kalpas are 335 billion 960 million years. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 zeros after a number. Okay, so that's one middle kalpa. So if we go back to that slide where right now, I'm sure you're all confused. You have no idea what I'm talking about. Basically, if you're in the first heaven of this first dhyana, your lifespan is 1 middle kalpa, okay, which is equivalent to 20 small kalpas, which is equivalent to 20,000 kalpas, okay? Now, mind, you don't have to know all this. 2 middle kalpas is when you're born in the second heaven, and when you're in the higher heaven, the third heaven, you have your lifespan is 3 middle kalpas, okay? But our character Baka the Mahabrahma, he had a lifespan of 1 great kalpa. So in other words, he became a Mahabrahma. He became the ruler of the first dhyana heaven. Okay, and this is key because maybe about 4 weeks ago, I think Su Wong asked if or she said that has there been a Mahabrahma that was a disciple of the Buddha, or she kind of assumed that Baka is one of them. Okay, all right. So now the story begins with the Buddha narrating. He said mendicants, which means the monks, he said at one time Baka the Brahma had following harmful misconception. He says this is permanent, this is everlasting, this is eternal, this is whole, this is imperishable. For this is where there's no being born, growing old, dying, passing away, or being reborn, and there's no other escape beyond this. Why does he say that? Because you remember that one kalpa is longer than every 100 years you go and rub that mountain with a delicate piece of cloth. Oh, now I remember. Okay, what I wanted to say. You know, sometimes there are science exhibits that show how water can erode rock, right? And I've seen pictures of that before. Water drips on rock, and they have this. Some rocks, they are the hole created by the water drop is very deep, and then they have a sign there that says that maybe 50 years have it takes 50 years to create this kind of erosion, and then next to it is like maybe 25 years and it's not as deep, or then there's 100 years or something like that. You know what I'm talking about, that kind of thing. Maybe I'll look at it online. um, and so um, uh, imagine that's water on rock, and water can create sand out of rocks. Water um, is pretty powerful, and but if you take, like the very silk handkerchief kind of thing, and imagine that on metal, so you get an idea. All right. Okay. Yes, I found it. Yeah. Let me see. Let's see if I can show this. Wait. Okay. Let's see if I can put it on screen. Okay. Let me increase the size. Okay. There you go. The title says this display that shows the long-term effects of erosion. So from the right, you have 50 years of erosion, which doesn't seem like anything at all. Then in the middle, you have 25 years of erosion. And then on the left, 50 years of erosion. Oh, so my guess was right, 50 years. And you can see the 50 years, there's at least like what, maybe it looks like 3-4 inches deep. Yeah. So that's water on rock. Okay. Let me get out. How do I get that out? Okay. So you can't blame Baka for thinking that he is immortal, because that's his lifespan. One great kalpa is one times, I don't know, that's 1,000. Yeah, I don't know how many thousand kalpas. So anyway, um, uh, so the Buddha knew what Baka was thinking, so he decided that it was a good time to give a teaching. So he disappeared and reappeared in the Brahma realm. All right, we are running out of time. Let me quickly get this. So when he was there, then Baka the Brahma welcomed him and says, okay, apparently in the sutras it says it's been a long time since you took the opportunity to come here. But in the commentaries, it says that he was just being polite. That was the Buddha's first time meeting him. I don't know. Anyway, he greets the Buddha and he says, it's good that you've come, because you come to a place where this is permanent, this is everlasting, this is eternal, this is complete. It's kind of like something like you die and you find yourself by the side of God, kind of thing. That's it, that's the goal. The goal has been achieved, kind of thing. There's no being born, no growing old, no dying, no passing away. There's no other escape beyond this. Like, this is it. This is the ultimate. Then the Buddha replied, he said, oh, you're just lost in ignorance. Baka the Brahma is lost in ignorance, because it's not what you think it is. It's not permanent, it's not lasting, it's transient, it's incomplete, it's perishable, you know. And when you say there's being born, there's actually growing old, there's that. When you say there's no being born, you are actually born, there's growing old, dying, passing away, etc. And then Baka said, but good sir, meaning the Buddha, says there have been ascetics and Brahmins in the world before you mendicants, so he's been in the world before even the Buddha came, whose self-mortification lasted as long as your entire life. That means they have spent longer than you have been alive, Buddha, he says, um, um, by practicing austerities of the body. He says, when there was another escape beyond this, they knew it, And when there was no other escape beyond this, they knew it. So mendicant, I tell you this, you will never find another escape beyond this, and you will eventually get weary and frustrated. If you attach to earth, you will lie close to me in my domain, subject to my will and expendable. If you attach to water, fire, air, creatures, gods, the creator, Brahma, you will lie close to me in my domain, subject to my will and expendable. I'm not sure what expendable means here. Then the Buddha said, I do know that if I attach to earth, etc., the Buddha is repeating what he said. I will lie close to you in your domain. And in addition, Brahma, I understand your range and your light. That's how powerful is Baka the Brahma, how illustrious and mighty. The Buddha says, I know how great you are. I know your range. I know where your light extends to. But then the Buddha asks him a question in return. He says, but in what way do you understand my range and my light? Okay, so you remember from last week, okay, when you are Mahabrahma, you think you are the greatest. Right? That's why he's talking to the Buddha in this way. You think you are the creator of all, right? He had all those titles, you know, you control everybody's fate. That's why he's trying to tell the Buddha. He says he's trying to tell the Buddha, I've been here before you. I've seen all those that have come before you, and they have practiced even more austere practices than you. And trust me, I know what I'm talking about. He's telling the Buddha, because I've seen things you have not seen. Yeah. So he says, trust me. Yeah. So the Buddha says, okay, I know your range, but do you know my range? The Buddha says. So Buddha says, a galaxy extends 1,000 times as far as the moon and sun revolve, and the shining ones light up the quarters, and there you wield your power. He's telling Baka. He says, you know the high and low, the passionate and dispassionate, and the coming and going of sentient beings from this realm to another. That's how I understand your range and your light. Okay, so he gives Brahma his due. Baka. He gives Baka the Mahabrahma his due. He says, okay, this is the scope of your abilities. Okay. Then he says, but there is another realm that you don't know or see, but I know it and see it. There is the realm named after the gods of streaming radiance. You pass away from there and were reborn here. You've dwelt here so long that you've forgotten about that, so you don't know or see it. There's the realm named after the gods replete with glory, the realm named after the gods of abundant fruit, the realm named after the overlord which you don't know or see. So basically he's telling Baka about Baka's past lives. He's saying, before you came here and you've forgotten all about this, you were a god in this heaven. Remember in the beginning of the story, Baka's past lives? The Buddha knows about Baka's past lives, although Baka himself has forgotten. He knows he's the all create. He thinks he's the all creator. He thinks he's the greatest of all, but he has never given thought to actually how he came to be. You know, he just assumes that he is, you know, and just like us, we just assume we are dust, we are, right? We are who we are, dust, we are born, and we are who we are, but we've never thought about, okay, before we were born, you know, who were we, or what did we do to, what are our own causes and conditions to be born in the first place? You know, so we are kind of like Baka, the Mahabrahma in that sense. So Buddha says, but I know it and see it. So Brahma, I am not your equal in knowledge, still less your inferior. Rather, I know more than you. So Baka, the all-seer, you know, the father of all, creator of all, is posturing in front of the Buddha, and the Buddha is just telling him, okay, well, these are, you know, things that you don't know about yourself. Okay, so it's time. It's 10:36. We have to end. Wait, let me see. No, we don't. 9. Oh, we can go up to 10:45, right? Because we started at 9:45. Okay, so we still have time. Okay, let me see what did Ron say. Expendable, of little significance when compared to an overall purpose, and therefore able to be abandoned. They are made to feel like their work is expendable. Okay, so that's the word expendable that Baka used when he told the Buddha to come by his side, Baka's side. Uh, I don't know why expendable would be used. That's not a very encouraging way to ask someone to be with you and still call them expendable. But yeah. Anyway, so I'm missing something. Anyway, getting back to the story, we have time. We have a few more minutes. Wait. So before I continue, anyone has any questions? Anything to bring up? We have a few more minutes. Anyone?
Amitabha Pasha.
Yes.
The previous slide, Pasha, is it the previous slide when Buddha was telling the Paka, I am not your equal in knowledge, still less your inferior. Brother, I know more than you. But when Buddha said, I'm not your equal in knowledge, that means Buddha is saying that Buddha may not have his knowledge, but Buddha do know. But Buddha is not
I think what the
inferior.
Buddha, what if I understand correctly, okay, I can look at another translation, but if I understand correctly, what it means here is that Buddha says, what the Buddha is saying is, I'm not your equal in knowledge, but then he says, still less your inferior. That means I'm more. That means I am not equal or less than you.
I know, but then that means
So
Buddha did admit that he doesn't have the Paka's knowledge. Because actually I have this problem. Not problem, this is bugging me. Remember when Buddha was enlightened and when he found the truth, when he saw the truth, he was so he realized that we lay people would not be able to accept his teaching. So he decided not to teach us. But then a God came down and told him, there are some with little dust in the eye, you can take those people across. From there, I see that the God actually have information that Buddha didn't have. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay, so in that, yes. So I know what you mean. All right. So basically, first of all, the encounter that that narration of when the Buddha got enlightened under the tree, and his first thought, or one of the thoughts that he had, was that it's very difficult to teach living beings. And then when you say the god that came to him, the god was actually a Brahma named Sahampati. And this particular Brahma not only was the first to request the teaching, he requested the turning of the veil, like just how you said. He didn't say gods, but he said that there are many living beings with little dust in their eyes, which is a code word, or those kind of secret language, metaphor for saying that they are ripe for awakening. So he didn't mention God specifically. He just said there are many with little dust in their eyes. And Brahma,
I understand that.
and Brahma Sahampati was
Sorry,
also the one who, at the Buddha's entering of Nirvana, he uttered the words of impermanence as well, among other things that he did for the Buddha. So that is the common how you say, the common narrative that we get, and that's usually from the Theravada canon. That's from the Theravada canon.
The same thing, Passion. Mahayana,
Okay, Mahayana, it has a very, very different approach. If you look at the Mahayana Sutra called the Play in Full, for example, there's another sutra, but I don't remember what it is. Anyway, the Mahayana Sutras give a very different account of the Buddha coming and teaching us. Basically, from the Mahayana aspect, the Buddha from the Triumtrimsha heaven, no, from the Tushita heaven, sorry. The Buddha from the inner court of the Tushita heaven already planned. He said, okay, I'm going to go down and I'm going to be born on earth in Jambu Vidpa, and I'm going to be the next Buddha. Everything is pre-planned. And then all the gods, the Brahma gods, they came to earth uh, before the Buddha to teach the Vedas, to prepare mankind for the coming of the Buddha. So when the Buddha was born, they already had the text that came from a long time ago because of the gods, the Brahma gods, to teach them how to recognize the hallmarks of a great person, the 32 hallmarks. They already knew about what a wheel turning king was. They had all this knowledge given to them to prepare them when the Buddha was born. Yeah. And when the Buddha was in his mother's womb, he was receiving a lot of gas of gods and all that. So the reason why that sutra is called the Play in Full, Play, is because from that sutra you will see that everything is a show. They're just putting on a show. All this Buddha sparring with Mara under the tree, the Brahma Sahampati requesting that the Buddha turn the Dharma wheel, all these things is just a show. They're all expedient means to teach living beings. They all play a role in a movie. That's it. So what we see on the surface, like in the Theravada, they said that the Buddha was requested to teach the Dharma, and from there, the Dharma is always requested before being spoken and all that. That's just on the surface of what's going on. But underneath, you see that if you read the Play in Full, you will realize that, oh yeah, that's actually the Buddha. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. How he can become the Buddha. Because can you imagine if the Buddha is so accomplished that he had to go through all the growing up and having to go through all these things and having to learn how to meditate to become a Buddha? No. He was it's like how Guanyin is already a Buddha but now manifests as Guanyin to save living beings. It's that kind of how do you say? It's that kind of uh, thing that the mind struggles to understand, kind of thing. So if you read the Play in Full, you will get the Mahayana account of the Buddha in his full wondrous splendor. And then when you read the Theravada account or the accounts from the Pali Canon, you see how there needs to be that difference because of the different aspirations of people.
Basically, in Mahayana, Fasha is saying that we are talking about Buddha's, basically the whole thing, it is a play, right?
Yes.
Something that to show us that I get it. But the only thing I find it is a bit detrimental to us humans because we are not that level to think that Buddha cannot see that he can actually guide us and that he need a God, isn't it? To actually tell us.
So that's why I say that. No, that's why I say that narrative is from the Pali
canon.
Yes, but if you look at the Mahayana canon, you get a very different narrative. Why did the Buddha come in the first place? Okay, wait. If you think about it logically, okay, why did the Buddha come in the first place? To teach living beings.
Yep.
The Buddha came from the Tushita heaven to teach living beings. Already, he had the intention when he came. It was time for him to come to teach living beings. And then just because a god requested for the teachings, then only he taught. If not, he wouldn't have taught. Right? So that's why if you're interested in this and if it bugs you, okay, go read the Play in Full. All right, then you will understand the full abilities of the Buddha, and you will not. You can trust me 100% that this question that you have that bugs you will never come out again, because then you will understand the full power of the Buddha and why he's the Buddha. Okay? So go read the play in full, all right? And it will give you a very, very different understanding of how Mahayana sees the Buddha, which makes perfect sense.
Full Master FOOL.
Okay? Huh? Okay, I will share in the WhatsApp group. Okay?
Thank you, Doctor.
No. I will share in the WhatsApp group the not full as in idiot full. The play
Then
in full.
in full or FULL. Right?
FULL. Okay,
Yes.
the
Okay.
play in full. Okay, let me show you. Since we only have a few minutes left.
Thank you, Pastor.
Okay, let me show you on screen. Okay, let me go to this website. Okay. Okay, there you go. I don't even have to look for it. It's already there. Okay. There, it's called this, the play in full, Lalita Vistara. And I've been quoting this from this sutra for some time. Okay. And it's a very long sutra. Okay, 27 chapters. Okay, and the introduction, it says, the play in full is without a doubt one of the most important sutras within Buddhist Mahayana literature. With parts of the text dating from the earliest days of the Buddhist tradition, this story of the Buddha's awakening has captivated the minds of devotees, both ordained and lay, as far back as the beginning of the Common Era. In brief, the play in full tells the story of how the Buddha manifested in this world and attained awakening. The sutra, which is structured in 27 chapters, begins with the Buddha being requested to teach the sutra by several gods, as well as the thousands of bodhisattvas and hearers in his retinue. Okay, so there you go. And the translation itself, okay, what's going on? Has 27 chapters. So any one of you is interested in the Buddha's life, but you're interested in the full picture, like really you want to know everything, not just like, oh, the Buddha was born and then, you know, he had a sheltered life and this and that, and then he meditated, he met this teacher, meditated, met this another teacher, meditated, Vimara, almost died, and then got enlightened under the Bodhi tree. That is like 0.5%. That is the story that's told to people who have the aspiration to end birth and death. Because in the Theravada canon, the Buddha is usually referred to as an arahant. And there are also arhats, also known as arahants, although they say, oh, the Buddha is not just any normal arahant. And that's why for them, they say that they claim that the nirvana is the same as of arhats is the same as a Buddha. Technically, it's correct. Okay, technically it's correct, but there's a lot of other differences that exist. So the Buddha being, you know, like the Buddha, if you want to really see the full breadth of the splendor of what the Buddha is, and appreciate the fact that the Buddha came to teach us, read this sutra. Okay, it's called the Play in Full. Just type in Google the Play in Full. I will share it on our WhatsApp group, and I promise you, you will have a very entertaining time reading it, because it talks about how they, when the Buddha wanted to come down to Jambudvipa, how they plan everything out, and when the Buddha's mother was pregnant with the Buddha, how she felt, and how when the Buddha was in the womb, it was like a palace, and she was receiving gas, and it wasn't, you know, he's not like an embryo in the body developing, not there at all. Yeah, he's the Buddha. He's like, you know, it gives you a story benefiting of the Buddha, basically. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we are out of time, more than out of time. Let me end this. and slideshow. So we'll continue with Baka the Brahma next week. All right. Sorry, I couldn't finish the story. It's pretty long. Yeah, but fun. Okay. Any other questions? So that's a good question because it shows that you are thinking about how come, if the Buddha is really the Buddha, why did he not know what the God knew? But he knew. He just needed someone to ask him, to play that role. Okay.
Amitabha Master. Thank you. Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, read that, play in full. All right. Okay, let's do dedication on merit. May every living being our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate. Okay, let's do 3 bows to the Buddha. Second bow. Third bow. Half bow. Bowing respect to the Venerable Master. Second bow. Third bow.